Picture this. You're playing your favorite RPG. The old village elder gives you a quest, and it sounds pretty straightforward, right? Take this letter to an elf in the forest. Simple. But what if the exact words he used could totally change the mission, sending you on a wild goose chase instead of straight to your target? Well, today we're going to look at how one tiny, single word can completely rewrite the story.
Okay, so here we go. Look at these two sentences. They're almost exactly the same. The only difference? One little word. The versus an. You might think, what's the big deal? But for a game designer, and for you as the player, that difference is absolutely massive. It changes what you're supposed to do, how you see the world, and even the way you play the game.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How? How can these teeny tiny words, these articles, have so much power over the story? Well, that is the exact mystery we're going to solve today. We're going to break down the grammar to uncover the secret language of game design. And it all starts with our very first clue.
Right, so the first piece of this puzzle isn't the elf, or the forest, or even the letter. Nope, it's the article. These little words are like the gatekeepers of information in a sentence. They're the very first signal your brain gets, telling you exactly how to think about the word that's coming next. So let's take a closer look at our two main suspects, the and an.
First up, we've got the, which is the definite article. Whenever a character says the, they're basically assuming you both know exactly which person or thing they're talking about. It's like they're pointing to a file that's already saved in your brain. It's all about shared knowledge. You know, when they say the king, or the cursed sword, or the haunted castle, we're all on the same page about which one they mean.
And then you've got a or an, the indefinite articles. These guys do the exact opposite. Their job is to introduce something totally new. When you hear your brain gets ready to create a brand new file. It's not one specific thing, it's just one out of a whole category of things. A sword, a ghost, a potion, any old one will do, and this is probably the first time we're hearing about it.
And here, you can see them working together perfectly. Imagine a villager tells you, I heard the well leads to a cave. Think about it for a second. The well has to be that one specific well in the middle of town that everyone knows about, right? That's our shared knowledge. But it leads to a cave, some new cave we've never heard of before. See how those two little articles guide our understanding in an instant? It's pretty cool.
Okay, so we've got a handle on the articles, but that's only half the story. The second clue is hiding in the rest of the sentence, that part that says, who lives deep in the forest. This is what's called a relative clause, and it's got a secret double life. It can do two very, very different jobs.
So a relative clause has two main functions. The first one is identification. Its job is to specify, to pinpoint one exact thing out of a group. It basically answers the question, which one? The second function is description. Its job is just to explain, to add a little extra info. It answers the question, what kind? Let's look at some examples so you can see what I mean.
So here's a great example of identification. Imagine there's a whole group of soldiers standing around. Someone says, the soldier who is standing by the gate is my brother. That little phrase, who is standing by the gate, isn't just extra fluff. It's absolutely essential. It's like a spotlight that singles out one specific soldier from all the others. It answers that question, which soldier are we talking about?
Now let's look at description. A wizard hands you an item and says, this is an artifact that raises your fire damage. See, the clause here isn't picking one artifact out of a lineup. It's just describing the kind of artifact it is. In fact, you could even split this into two separate sentences. This is an artifact, it raises your fire damage. The meaning doesn't change at all. That's the big difference.
All right, the moment of truth. We've got our two big clues, the power of articles and the two different jobs a clause can do. Now it's time to put them together and finally crack the case of the elf in the forest.
Let's start with case number 1. Deliver this letter to the elf who lives deep in the forest. Okay, so we kick things off with the, which immediately signals shared knowledge. We're talking about one specific elf. And because we started with the clause that follows, who lives deep in the forest, has to be doing the job of identification. It's answering the question, which elf?
So, let's break it down. The article the establishes that this is someone specific we both know about, and the clause who lives deep in the forest identifies exactly which one. For the player, the takeaway is crystal clear. Okay, I have to find one particular famous elf. There's only one elf who fits this description, and that's my target.
But now, let's flip the script and look at case number 2. Deliver this letter to an elf who lives deep in the forest.
This time, we start with an, and that signals new information. It's not a specific elf. So the clause, who lives deep in the forest, isn't identifying a specific one. Instead, it's just doing the job of description. It's answering the question, what kind of elf am I looking for?
And boom, this changes everything for the player. The article an introduces a non-specific person. The clause just describes their general qualities. So the player understands, okay, my job is to find any elf, just as long as they live in the deep forest. There could be a whole village full of them. Any one of them will do. The quest just went from finding a needle in a haystack to, well, just finding the haystack.
So we've totally solved the grammar puzzle. But if you're a game writer, which one is the right one to use? Well, here's the real secret. Maybe the best answer is neither of them. When it comes to writing for games, the absolute top priority should always be clarity, not showing off your complex grammar.
Yeah, the goal is to make the player's mission so clear there's zero confusion. And the advice for doing that is really simple. First, if you're talking about a specific person, just use their name. Second, give out information in small, easy-to-digest pieces. And third, just write in simple sentences. You don't want to force the player to decode grammar when they're busy trying to save the world, you know?
So, what does a better solution look like? Probably something like this. Just look at how clean and simple that is. Please send this letter to Stephanie, a friend of mine. I hear she lives in the Elven Forest. There's absolutely no ambiguity here. The player gets a name, Stephanie. They get a little context, she's a friend, and they know the location. The objective is perfectly clear with zero chance of being misunderstood. It's just simple, direct, and way more effective.
So, as we've seen, the absolute smallest words can have the biggest impact. Whether you're designing a quest, writing an email, or even just giving directions to a friend, your choice between a and the can be the difference between perfect clarity and total confusion. And it really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Are the words you choose a helpful guide, or are they just another puzzle?